Hey everyone, my name is Brooke. Welcome back to my channel. This is a channel where I talk about houseplants and do DIYs on my shorts. So if that interests you, or if you have not yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be up to date on all my latest videos. Today I'm actually going to be doing a repotting, and it's going to involve my Monstera Thai Constellation. So I've had this constellation for probably like well over a year now. I can't remember when I got it, but I have recently chopped it and propagated it. And there's the cat's tail. Recently chopped it, propagated it, and have placed that propagation under one of my Sansi grow lights in the office. And it was already rooted, really. It had grown into the soil from one of the aerial roots, and so it was just one long aerial root. Now it has grown the secondary roots, and so I feel like I want to place it back in the mother plant, which is right here. So neither have done anything. This guy hasn't pushed any new growth off. It hasn't died. It hasn't gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. It's just kind of stayed the same. And the same for my cutting of the Monstera Thai that I have. It has not gotten any better, has done anything. So I actually think that I am going to chop one of the leaves off. So if you missed that video, you can go back and look, because what happened was there wasn't enough humidity, and the leaf that was coming out of the new leaf or whatever got stuck, and so I could not figure out how to make it grow. I watered it, kept it well watered, because I do know that these guys don't prefer to dry all the way out. I kept it next to a humidifier. It is in a southwest facing window. And so I tried everything. And so I felt like just chopping it was the best idea, because either way I'm going to lose that leaf, because I really truly do need to cut it all the way back so that that leaf that didn't unfurl can just be gone and a new leaf can start to emerge, maybe. Anyways, all that to say is I'm going to put them back together now and see what happens. I am also going to be moving it from the southwest facing window to my office where my Sansi grow light is. I have had some really good growth on a few plants in there that I'll show, and I think that just moving my constellation in there might help it better. I don't know. I think that they need really high light, and while it sits right in a southwest facing window and gets direct light all the time, I don't know that it's quite enough. And so I'm just going to try to move it and see what happens. But yes, that's what we're going to do today. This guy is potted in a terracotta pot. It is extremely heavy, so it will be fun to move out and then move back in. So we'll get started on it. This is a fun angle, but this is my office, and that is my Sansi grow light right up there. And so this is where the cutting, right here, is where the cutting of my Monstera Thai Constellation sat. And so this is an east-facing window, I believe. This is a terrible lighting situation, but I just wanted to bring you over because, let's flip the camera around, because this Thaumatophyllum has been in this office for probably well over a year now, but it was sitting in this corner where my Esqueleto is sitting currently, next to all of my plants that I need to figure out. But I placed it under this Sansi grow light. This is like the 35 watt, I believe, but it has done so well. So I think that these guys just require a really high light source. So that's what I finally given it. Now I have had this plant for about 4 years, maybe 3 years actually. 3 years is probably better. So for about 3 years, and when I purchased it, it was really full and pretty and large foliage, but it got thrips and it just did not bounce back well. So I chopped it all back. I removed, there were 2 or 3 plants in one pot, removed all of the other ones that were just dying, and stuck with this one, and it really has done super well. So I've recently repotted it. I have a short or a video on it. I don't really recall, but I think it's doing really well here. And so I'm a little nervous to move it because there's not going to be enough space for my constellation here and all of this. So this guy will need to move, and my golden pothos that I made over, which is doing extremely well. Like, this is the new leaf. Or these are the new leaves, and it's actually growing around and then back down. So that's super fascinating to me. But it's doing extremely well here under this light. And I think that by placing it where the Thai constellation is, I think it will be just fine, because these do well in a lower light situation, and I will be putting it in a southwest facing window. So I feel like it will transfer okay. But my main concern is this Thimatophyllum. I'm not sure how that's going to do. But anyways, this is the cutting that I took, the top cutting. It is starting to turn yellow here. This actually would be the leaf that I would be getting rid of, because, and I'll try to like see if I can see it, but this right here, let's give you a back here. Hold on. Oh, maybe. Okay, so this leaf right here is the leaf that got stuck. And so you can see it's now finally dead, but nothing is going to be able to really come from that, and nothing will come from that, I don't think, since I chopped it. And so I just want to completely, do away with this leaf here and let it start new. Now, this is the original or bottom leaf, so it's rooted, it's fine. I could chop this guy off and it would be just okay. So that's what we're gonna do. So this is my original Monstera Thai Constellation mother plant, whatever you want to call it. So there are only 3 leaves left, and then this is the propagation. So you can see here there is one long aerial root and then a bunch of secondary roots now coming out of it. This guy looked pretty gross and like it did have root rot, like that main aerial root had rotted. But when I washed it all off and really took a good look at it, it really wasn't rotted, so there were good roots underneath of it. But it looks pretty solid. It's started to root well, so I am just going to plant it back in with this mother plant. Now, I was talking about cutting this leaf off right here, but I decided to actually remove the stuck leaf from the new, our actual main leaf. 1, just for curiosity to see what it looks like, and 2, because I kind of felt bad cutting this leaf off. It's really nice, it's not bad leaf, and so I'm just gonna stick it there, because if it just stays the way it is, who cares? It's awesome, whatever. And if it starts to die off, then I will just go ahead and chop it back. I don't think a new leaf is gonna come from this one. It's gonna come from a different point. So it was like a little leaf that was stuck in there, I mean, obviously, but it was pretty well formed. I went ahead and took all of the outer sheath off of it and tried to unwind it to see what I could see. There was a new growth point on the leaf that got stuck. Obviously, it wasn't going to come out anytime soon, but I unfurled it and it had its own little fenestrations and lobes, and it was kind of interesting just to see the dead leaf, I guess. It's still intact, kind of, which was the bizarre part. It wasn't rotted out fully, so I'm sure over time it would have, but it was fun to see all these little holes and fenestrations on the tiny little leaf that would have been. So I'm just taking the mother plant out of this soil. This soil is just pretty much straight soil mixed, some bark, and perlite. I'm going to mix it into a soilless mix, which I did on my previous video, so you can go check that out. Way down here. I need to take this off. Oh my gosh. So I use this as a seat. Okay. So I have both of them removed. All the soil's off. The water one was clearly easiest. But I found that I think that I was underwatering. Hold on, let me see closer. I was underwatering the one that was in soil, which is a bummer because I had it in a thicker soil mix and it was just harder to tell, because when I would stick my finger into it, that's how I would test it. I would always feel like it was wet. So it was wet in the center and I just didn't test it on the outside. And this is a very large root system. So it's always been a really large root system and really good. So I am going to be repotting it. Hopefully that will be okay. Hopefully the plant will be fine and not completely rot out. The roots actually look really nice. I wasn't able to get all of the soil off, but I didn't see any root rot, which is a really good sign. I know a lot of people were saying how their constellations, their ties, they constantly were getting root rot, and that was causing issues for them. So that's not the case here. It's just my underwatering issues. Anyways, So I'm going to be repotting it in the soil mix that I mixed up in like one of my previous videos. So if you want to see what's in that mixture, you can go back and watch that one. But I'm just going to be putting it in the same terracotta pot. I will fill the bottom a little bit with the mixture because it's soilless mixture. And I feel like that will give me a better understanding of when it truly is wet and when it is dry, and give me more control and visibly like be able to see. So I already have some of it mixed up here in these bags, in these 1 gallon bags. So I'm just going to pour it in, and then I will put the 2 plants back in it. Okay. And this is a very large pot. I don't even know what size pot this is, but it's extremely large because this plant is extremely large. So I'm just going to place both back in there. I'm not going to cut the one leaf off. I feel like, I unfurled the growth that was stuck in there, and I feel like I know that a point or a new leaf isn't going to come from that area. It's going to come from somewhere else on the plant. And I had already seen, which I don't think I've got a good video of, there are a few looking like new growth point looking areas on the plant that was in water. And so I'm hopeful for that one. I did not see a single growth point or light at the tunnel for the other one, but at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to be okay if the plant stays as is. It's an extremely large plant, and I know that these plants take a way longer time to grow than the like even albos or Monstera deliciosas. I've shared that many times. So I am just going to let it sit and be pretty, and that be that. I'm sitting under the foliage right now, which is awesome, but I'm just going to continue to fill it up.
Okay, so just pretend I am filling that up, because I am, but I went ahead and moved my golden pothos into our bedroom, as well as the Thaumatophyllum from my office. Now they are in here. I also moved around my Epipremnum pothos, which is the alba one I love. So this will be their new home, and then I will move my Thai Constellation into my office under my CNC grow light. So this is where it is. I potted it all up. I squished it back here. We'll see how it does. I will keep you all posted because I'm really curious. I really want this guy to grow, but again, if it doesn't, and this is what it is, it's still a beautiful plant. It's extremely large, and so I don't know what's going to go on with it. I will just keep it here and keep watching it and see what happens. And that really is it. So thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you next time.